Hello, y'all. So I was thinking, when I first picked up a Bible, which actually was very recently, which was within the last year, so I hadn't really ever read the Bible before that. And if you know my life path here, I actually was agnostic for a long time, a very long time. And at one point, I would have argued against everything in this space. But I picked up the Bible and I was reading this, and I remember I wrote down one day, just this was, I mean, long before I started this channel, I had wrote down, what is the one language of all people? Because in the Bible, it talks about how there was one language, given to all people by God. And I thought, what could that possibly be? Because there's so many different, verbal languages. And then I was like, oh, it's like the language of energy. Because no matter where you are in the world, if someone is presenting a specific energy or an emotion, oftentimes, like, the majority of us anyway, know that someone is sad, know that someone is angry, know that someone is happy. There are cues in which we can pick up on that, right? Because of the energy that they're omitting and the expressions that they are omitting in unison to the energy that they're feeling. And so I thought, I think the one language of all people is energy. Now, I'm not saying that you have to believe in anything realistically. I don't think we should ever be in a position where we're telling others what they should and should not believe realistically. I think as long as whatever you believe is for the greatest good of all people, then it's okay. I think it's okay. So I'm not here to preach to you what you should and should not believe. However, I was thinking about that and I thought, it's so true that energy is something that is very prominent. The unfortunate thing is, and I have this, in some ways, it makes you wonder if we sort of were placed in, if there was like amnesia surrounding us during, our re-entry into the world, because it seems as though I can always tell how someone feels about me or what their first impression of me is energetically, pretty instantaneously. I know sort of the internal thoughts that someone has towards me within seconds of meeting them. And I know I can pick up on certain nuances when people are speaking that determine A, how true what they're saying is, and B, how they feel about what they're saying energetically. And I understand that this is not something that all people can do. Well, arguably, I would say that all people can do that. It just requires empathy. I'm a firm believer that empathy and sympathy are two entirely different things, that unless you have a shared experience, it's difficult to empathize and are able to feel certain things, then it's difficult to empathize. It's much easier to sympathize. And even then, I would argue that with the way that communication has been sort of disconnected in, especially in our society, I'm an American, in our culture, but I don't know if it's, and I would say that this is probably in a lot of spaces actually where we're very disconnected from being able to communicate in person, for one. So, having to tap into energy in a different space is not easy, and there's such a disconnect between being able to communicate with one another through these sort of technological distractions. And so, but simultaneously, it's also a great way to connect a large body of people energetically. So pros and cons. Anyway, I thought it would be fun to read your energy and tell you what I get from the energy of the card that you pick. So this is kind of going to be a little bit, I think it'll be a shorter reading for each individual, but there's actually 5 energies in which you can choose from in this space. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. I feel like I just babbled and had no point. If you're new here, then maybe you don't know that I have ADHD, and so we can go on side quests occasionally where a thought process will just go somewhere and not end and have no points, or and then we'll just circle back to be like, okay, anyway. So sorry if I don't even remember realistically where I was going with that. So energy, very powerful communication tool in my opinion. So let's go ahead and dive into it. We have group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4, and group 5. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and read your energy here. Group 1. Hello, group 1. What is the energy for group 1? Let's go ahead and see what your card is. We have the whale in reverse. This is interesting actually, because I need to start saying exactly what I feel immediately without even flipping over the card, but I don't know, sometimes it's difficult to trust ourselves. The interesting thing is, okay, I don't think I said that without purpose, realistically. There is a depth to your energy. So when I tap into it, initially, like the initial feeling was that you hold a lot of, more than people think that you hold. That there's a lot more, I think there's actually quite a bit more depth to you than meets the eye. I would say that you are often somebody who is misconstrued, or somebody who is often underestimated, or it's as though when people meet you, they have a much different opinion of you, and then that kind of shifts over time. And it really depends on how willing they are to study you. Because for some people, I think you'll remain an enigma to them. So they won't really know, you're mysterious, I guess. You have a mystery about you and a quality about you that isn't easy to tap into and isn't easy to understand. So I think you probably have an often experience of sort of the first impression of you being wrong. And I would argue it has a lot to do with the depth within you, especially within emotional intelligence in particular. This is like an all-knowing energy, or it's at least an energy that's tapped into a vast space of energetic alignment. And also it comes, so the interesting thing with the whale too is that your energy, the way that it feels, rides in waves. And I don't know if that's something that you would necessarily be able to pick up on, or maybe it'll make sense once it's explained. But it can go a little bit into an anxious space, and then it like rides down into a more grounded space, and it'll kind of flow like that a little bit. So the energy will go in these waves where it's kind of an ebb and flow. I think it depends on scenario, but I really would argue that you're somebody who doesn't really, I would, I think you are capable of tapping into a lot of energy, but it's not a comfortable space. And I think that this would be an introverted space, realistically, that if you're in this energetic alignment, you're most likely an introvert. Okay, so let me give you, so what I intend to do today is to give just a couple more energetic hits for you to kind of further explain the energy that I pick up on. And then I'll give you a 1-card pull as sort of a message for the day, okay? All right, what is the energy for group 1, please? What is the energy for group 1? If you like folk music, this is so weird, y'all, but there's this song, oh gosh, I don't know, it's by the Riverside. You can find them on Instagram by the Riverside Folk, and it's, I don't know the name of the song, but it's, the lyrics are, throwing boulders and crashing ships in my wake. Tell me where I'm supposed to go from here. It was interesting. So, one more. I actually was just talking. I'm going to pull out this warrior from the bottom. Okay. Set these up here. And I'm actually, you know what I really love about, okay, so do y'all watch Dove and Serpent Tarot? You know how he like takes out a mystery card and then like leaves it there and then reads it? I'm going to do that actually for y'all. So we'll just put your card right here. I don't know if that makes me a copycat, but I thought, you know, it's a really cool idea. And it can't be a copycat when you're acknowledging who did it, right? Okay. We're going to start over here, okay? And this sort of goes into this whale thing, right? Where it talks about the emotional depth. When I see the forest, I think about how there is just, first of all, there is so much life that exists within a forest, and through various different, oh gosh, this is where I wish that my biology courses would have been a little bit more fun because y'all know about the environmental like different state, oh, how do I say this, it's the different oh my gosh, I gotta pull like way into my memory bank for this. It's the, like the zones, okay, of the different, like the earth floor of the forest, and the mid-center, about the different life that exists within those spaces, right? You know what I'm talking about. Is somebody else will know a lot more about this topic scientifically, and you can throw some terms in the comments if you'd like, because I just know the concept. I don't know the words surrounding it, but it is essentially like the different levels that have different, it has a different atmosphere and a different environmental space in each of these sort of levels, right? This is kind of how the depth of your energy works. So it depends. I would honestly really consider this a space of somebody who can mirror quite well, probably to an extent that maybe even is a little bit subconscious, and not really understanding that there are many times where like a certain type of energy will come towards you and you'll reciprocate that and sort of essentially like give them their energy back to them. And this depends on realistically like any way in which you are approached. And so there is sort of, I would imagine that some of your advice might be around just really figuring out, you know, really understanding the depth of your energy and being able to hold all that space without kind of reflecting in certain areas, and keeping your own peace. But also it's kind of giving that like id, ego, super ego vibe a little bit, that there is sort of a lot that is going on beneath the surface. But interestingly enough, within this collective, I feel like that which is beneath the surface is not in an unawareness. So the things that you have been through and the things that molded and shaped you into the person that you are today, you have an acknowledgement of. So you're aware of those things, and in fact are intended to, or maybe have begun to utilize those things to alchemize an understanding of the world around you. I would argue that this is a group that is deeply empathetic, deeply empathetic. So the other thing I have coming in with Kairos, you know what? I'm actually going to look up this one because I have a hit, but I want to just be certain. I don't tend to read energetically, and I don't necessarily always read very, like, I don't read the definitions of certain cards because I'm an intuitive reader, but for some reason I feel like I want to know exactly what this card is about. Now for me, it's getting having just complexity of thought is sort of how it's coming out, and just naturally. But let's see what it says. Of course, it's got to be like buried at the bottom of the book, right? Here we go. Mythic time and synchronicity. Oh, that's interesting. So when in alignment, it's ease of decision and action, and then when in the dark, fighting against time. This is known as mythic time, and it is the territory of Kairos. This card suggests there is a secondary time continuum that goes beyond an earthly clocks and schedules. Within this non-linear realm, we access divine timing. That's interesting. So within the complexity of thought, that would actually make a lot of sense, but then it would arguably be a real understanding of sort of more spiritual gifts or psychic gifts, or having sort of tapped into that awareness, or at least having the ability to tap into that awareness because of the vast amount of energy that you have. Much of divination and spiritual work is actually energy work. It's almost, well, it's all energy work realistically. And so which can be, just a disclaimer, can be a blessing or a curse depending on the energy of the reader, or the energy that you are tapping into, right? Train confirmation. But this would be also, another thing too is that you may be somebody who maybe, now this is like tapping into the ADHD side of me. So I have ADHD, and something that I struggle with is time management within ADHD, or procrastinating, or being in a space where it's like I want to do all of the things, but I get overwhelmed, or I experience executive dysfunction. And this can talk a little bit about being in sort of a space in which we kind of want to do all of the things, and then maybe have a little bit of a struggle within winding down, or being in a space of peace, or realistically being outside of overthinking, actually would be a better way of putting it. And so it would be, this is an energy that is, these are deep thinkers within this collective here, where our mind is sort of always scanning or examining, and it can be really easy to become overwhelmed as well. And then in terms of the warrior card here, I would say that you have a life path in which you've had many obstacles and many setbacks along the way, probably beginning at a relatively young age. So it would be, not your standard run-of-the-mill type of experiences. Okay, so these are things that I would consider, just the energy that is here, a rarity. So I would argue that probably has been something that has worked against you. And that's also probably why there's a lot of people who misread you, because energetically they don't understand your energy. because of the sort of long-standing experiences of setback or struggle that you have faced for, I would argue, since the developmental stages of life, so since childhood. Or that it's either that, so it's either been like a long standing, so like a very just like setback after setback after setback, or there's something that would have been very traumatizing, so a big moment that really shook you off balance and then provided you an awful lot of experience in order to tap into a broader awareness of energy. However, I think that this is also a collective who has an understanding of alchemy, and understanding how alchemy works. Alchemy is essentially being, going down to the bottom in order to climb your way back up. Because of the amount in which you learn on the journey back. And honestly, sometimes I feel like it's more so that there are some of us who just begin at the bottom, you know what I mean? And so we have to climb to the top. And this might be a collective among that space. However, it's something that you utilize, I wouldn't necessarily say to your advantage, but it is what makes you resilient, and it is what makes you mentally strong, and it is what makes you emotionally intelligent. So in that respect, it's a really beautiful thing. And sometimes I feel like, as much as life is unfair, if we can look at things and find gratitude in it, then it can be a really powerful manifester. Okay. So let's go ahead and see what your mystery card is and do your message for the day. Oh, we have the 9 of Swords. So this is interesting because I was kind of dancing around this a little bit by not wanting to really express that the energy, at least in this moment. So I just, let me give a disclaimer before going forward. Energy shifts by the second, by a millisecond. I always say a nanosecond. So energy shifts quite often. So I don't feel like I definitely would not consider this your prominent energetic alignment or your most consistent energetic alignment. But when you are tapping into this in this moment, there is a bit of anxiety going on, or a lot of internal conflict in this moment, a lot of worry and concern surrounding, I think it's just it's almost a fed up vibe a little bit, group one. And I think that something that is important to remember, just this morning, I was feeling some type of way, and I heard, like, hang on, like, don't let go now. Like, and it was like, it wasn't like an external voice or something like that, but it was just like a thought, right, that came in, but it came in sort of like it didn't belong to me a little bit. And it was this reminder that, you know how alchemy works, right? And you know how energy works. So if you are in a space in which if you have been well-intentioned, that will come back to you. If you have been giving and supportive and encouraging, that will come back to you. But also, if you are anxious and worrisome and feeling a certain way, it's sort of that test of energy, right? Can you maintain your emotional strength in moments that are testing your balance? And so that seems to really be the message for you today, group one, is to remind yourself of energetic alignment. And also, it's okay to take a day for yourself too. It's okay to do an energy cleanse. It's okay to do a meditation to kind of root and ground in and, you know, get rid of any negative energy. Totally okay to do an energetic cord removal. There is wonderful channels actually on YouTube that provide Reiki. So, you know, cleansing your aura or doing a specific Reiki session to sort of get you into an alignment. And then taking a day where you're not really, you know, disconnect a little bit. You can turn off your phone. I have my phone on do not disturb always now. I only let a few things come through. And I just recently did that. And I'll tell you what, like that has really helped me to sort of maintain focus and to get out of just, you know, distracting myself from things that need to get done. So that is your advice, and you can let me know in the comments below if I read your energy correctly. If I did, if you could please like and subscribe to my channel, I'd love to have you back here. Thank you so much for being here, Group 1. Enjoy the rest of your day. Group 2's energy. Hello, Group 2. You're coming out as the Cobra. There's a little bit of a wounded warrior vibe in this space. So the energy is very, so it sits up in your, primarily in your third eye is where the energy what? Why was I gonna say shits? I don't know why that was. Okay, I'm sorry, Group 2. I don't know where that came from. Where the energy, goodness, sits, is definitely in that space, in the head space. I definitely feel like this is a collective. I would argue that I would not want to make you mad is sort of the vibe here in this space. I think that you're, this is definitely an energy that I would personally be on guard around. If I was tapping into this energy, I would feel, because instantly, like when that energy comes out, I feel on guard, actually. I feel like this would be an energy that I would have to really dance delicately around. That I wouldn't want to say the wrong thing to, and I wouldn't want to ruffle their feathers. Or I might get bit. So yeah, because the energetic response that I have, so it's interesting, like tapping into your energy, it's, so it moves up, okay? So it shifts into the crown space and into the third eye in particular. Is like, this is a very calculated thinking collective, very sharp. I would consider this like a quick-witted space. I would argue that it comes out a little bit jaded, where it's a little bit of a chip on the shoulder kind of vibe. And so in my energetic response, I'm very grounded into the energetic response. Like I know that if I were in this space with this kind of energy, like in person, it would take me a moment in order to sort of get beneath the surface. So this would be like, this is like a hard shell, you know, to crack, but a soft center. Um, and not necessarily a soft center, but a really wounded center. One thing in particular, collective too, that is really has a lot of energy within it that is almost painful to be in is the heart chakra in particular. That space is really heavy in this collective. So definitely, you know, maybe some energy work on the heart chakra would actually be really helpful for you. There's some Reiki sessions. There's like Reiki on YouTube that you can look into that will open up heart chakra and to get you into alignment with that might actually really be beneficial in this space. But I feel like it's I feel like that, so I feel like the first impression of you would necessarily be intimidation in others. I think others would be really intimidated by you. I don't think that they would find this energy to be trusting. I think they would probably be apprehensive in your energy or feel as though like there's not, it's the knee-jerk response to this energy would be to be on the defense, would be to be moving into survival a bit. It's a predatorial vibe. And I know that that's not going to sound right. We'll get into it on a deeper level because it's a surface, okay? So it's like a shield, essentially, okay? So it isn't necessarily what is beneath the surface, but it is what is kind of a barrier in being able to realistically connect with people in a softer way. So it's very defensive. I feel like it's, you know what it gives me? It gives me that quote that's like, you know how some people say, when I first met you, I thought you were a bitch. Like, that's kind of the energy that comes in here a little bit. And the thing is that it is really just protection because there's a whole lot, actually, a whole lot beneath the surface. But it's just, it's like your own protection. But I think that, and you may not even know this, collective to how your energy maybe transfers into the world around you. But I imagine that you're not somebody who has like, I'm sure that there have been moments where you've been sort of misjudged or that your energy has come off a certain way that's provided sort of a specific response in those around you where, you know, I don't think that this would be a completely conflict avoidant space. I think that if anything, I would argue that the energy in group 2 would be like, it's a very much a, oh, we gonna match vibes, or it is you start it, I'll finish it kind of vibe. Definitely a fighter spirit in this space. But typically that tends to be a mask for quite a bit of pain, realistically. So there's a lot deeper things going on beneath the surface. Okay. So we're going to do some additional energy cards for you. And then, I don't know, have y'all watched Devin Serpent Tarot? And you know how he does like a mystery card every time? I thought it'd be fun to just like do a mystery message for each one of these. I'm totally, is it stealing a concept if you are acknowledging where you got it from? I don't know. So we're going to put that up in the corner for like your message at the end. I just thought it was a neat idea, so I don't think I'll do it on every reading that I have, but I thought it would be fun for this since it's all kind of, so I'm going into this entire thing blindly. I didn't look at any of the cards, and so I'm literally just reading it energetically, which I think is kind of cool. You have the mountain. What other energies for group 2, please? The ocean. Oh, so funny. I was literally just thinking about how I'll tell you in a second. How about how, well, hold on. If I don't tell you now, I'll forget. About that this is sort of having like an ocean of emotion that is locked up. And then the ocean came out. I need to start saying things out loud more often. This is so important here, y'all. The shaman. We'll get into it. Okay, so the mountain here is talking a little bit about what I've already stated, is that this is an energy where there is a lot kind of in a very safe place, okay? I don't think that you're the type of person that people can access easily. I think with that, like, that hard shell to crack thing, I think that is very much in the energy of this space. Typically, this means that there has been the rarity of your energy. This is important, actually. The rarity of your energy and what you have experienced and tapped into is something that a very small collective of people on the planet have realistically experienced. And so automatically that places you in a space where the majority of people you meet do not understand your energy. And the initial hit from your energy creates a survival response in them. It is to be on the defense, to not know if they can trust this energy, and to have their guard up in response to it. And even if, okay, they were able to sort of tap beneath the surface, the amount of people realistically who would empathize with you and understand your life path is microscopic. Because this is an energetic collective that it is just a lot of heartache and pain going on beneath the surface. However, group 2, what I feel you need to know is that our greatest healers have experienced the greatest pain. And this shaman thing is coming through. Now, I don't think that every person who is tapping into this alignment would consider themselves a healer. However, I would like to argue that you are all healers within this space if you can learn to alchemize your pain. If you can learn to use your experiences as a superpower, and you can soften that shell, or you can use discernment, okay? You can know where that tough exterior needs to remain. Pick your battles is sort of the vibe, right? But if you can tap into that and you can really see the lessons in those experiences and what it taught you and the awareness that is provided you, you can be a guide to help those that are in the alignment that you have experienced. And so you are very capable of being a healer. The first step realistically is making sure that we are healed within self and really being honest with ourselves. We can say things, but can we embody them? And also, don't get tripped up in the otherworldly things. There's a lot that goes against us in certain spaces, right? But if you can maintain an energy of understanding the gift that you have been given, and more importantly, there's another reminder here too, if you believe in this anyway, that when we come here, we have a set, we we decide, your soul was like, I can handle that. I got that. I can handle that. I can work through that. I am strong enough to experience those things. And you are living proof that you are, because you're still here. And the amount of strength and the amount of resilience that you have built through your life path is unmatched, realistically. I mean, it is such a small collective of people in retrospect. I mean, granted, there are still, and then here's the thing too, collective too, this energy and this experience and this life path is building by the numbers within the societies that we have now, and the amount of tension that is existing in the world around us. So we need you realistically to step into your power and to help heal the planet, right? Like we need you to be in the shaman space, because you can tap into energy that not everybody can. Not every healer can tap into, to be able to see dark or light in the dark places, and you have that ability to, and that is a superpower, collective too. So if you can get in a space of making sure that doing whatever it takes to get yourself balanced, okay, to get into a space where you understand the lesson. I would argue that y'all should go read your birth chart too, and read your North Node in particular, and see what your North Node says on your life path, because the opposition to that is typically explains kind of why you've experienced the things that you've experienced, because it's all building towards your North Node. And arguably, if you don't do it in this lifetime, then you got to start in the next. So you might as well get aware and start now, right? But that's all, like, if you believe in that. So, okay, so that's how your energy reads. That, I feel like I kind of laced in some advice, because I don't think that all of those tapping into the collective two space are quite in this healing energy quite yet. It's a sort of it is like 50-50 essentially, but it is an awareness or an acknowledgement that you absolutely have the ability to help others. This would be a great collective to work with different, like, sort of the underbelly of society. This would be a great collective to work with those who are like literally suffering, that, because I think that your empathy would really be able to connect into that space, and you'd be able to help people a lot in that energetic alignment. All right, let's get into your mystery card and what that is. This is a wish fulfillment card, y'all. This is the 9 of Cups, Pisces energy, which is, oh my gosh, Pisces energy is so adaptable and so grounded, and really has a way of, I would argue that Pisces energy, like at its core, has the ability to alchemize gracefully without really taking it too personally, depending on the Pisces. But among the Pisces that I know personally, and the ones that I am very close with, and obviously their rising sign and moon absolutely matters in alignment to their behavior, especially rising sign. This is a very important sign. But at its core, Pisces energy is incredibly adaptable and really capable of moving into a space that it can alchemize and let things go, and learn from it and move on. It's very powerful. The 9 of Cups is sort of this awareness that if you can do this, it'll shift the entire projection or trajectory of your life. And it's like, really, like, really it can. And I would like to argue, I think I'm still in a space that I am nowhere near where I would like to be, collective too, but I have been on this life path, and so therefore I feel that I am someone who is proof of that, because the energetic shift that I experienced is vastly, there are people who meet me who haven't known me since for a very long time, and so they know a part of me that used to be very not easy to deal with. And I'm nothing like that today. You can still bring that part out of me, don't get me wrong. So in collective too, like, you will always have that fighter spirit. If somebody, if you're in a space and someone really comes at you in a way that you know that you didn't do anything, and they're like, and you know that's a you problem, being able to respond in a way that sort of puts them in their place, like, you will still have that ability, don't get me wrong. And it's a great way to sort of remind others of their own behavior too. So that is the message that I have for you, group 2. If I read your energy correctly, let me know. And then like and subscribe to my channel for more content. Thank you so much for being here, group 2. Enjoy the rest of your day. Group 3. Group 3. I already feel like energetically this is a wild card. If y'all don't know, I'm going into this pretty blindly. So the first time that I am tapping into your energy and reading your card is in the moment that I'm pulling it out. So I actually did see it when I was coming out, so I can't really like deny that I saw it coming in. But in terms of knowing what the cards were when I laid them out, I had no idea. Stingray. Okay, so the first thing I want to say is this is an incredibly balanced energy. Your alignment is pretty in balance. A little hit about just around your heart chakra, at least in sort of the upper back area, is a little bit of burden that is sitting in your energy a bit. But in terms of like the flow of energy, the train is coming through. This is the second train in this reading, and I don't... Hi, hello, hi. Sometimes they're a little bit more obnoxious than others. This one was like, I'm here in town, hello. Okay, so I live in a small town, can you tell? Okay. But anyway, the flow of your energy is very, it's like buoyant. I don't know how to explain. Like, buoyancy to me, the way that I read energy anyway, is that it's sort of like, it takes a lot to get this energy like really off balance. It's really admirable, honestly, because I think that's really difficult to do. So I think that that means that you've done an awful lot of work to be in this space and have a lot of awareness. However, collective 3, that doesn't mean that you have no bite or no bark beneath the surface, because or not even beneath the surface. It's sort of, it's like if you are in a space where someone is coming at you, then there's definitely a stinger. There's, you know how the stingray has like a stinger, and obviously we know that it can do some major damage. So interestingly enough, it's like you're so cool and so calm and so collective, right? But, and I don't even think that your feather, like, I don't think you would be ruffled very easily, okay? But if somebody did come at you a certain way, and then watch out, there's a little bit of there's a fight there. And I don't think, you know, something that's interesting too about your energy, group 3, is I don't think many people would know that. I think they would see you as like relatively balanced and soft and not really having a whole lot of feist to you, but they're wrong. There's a part of you. Okay, so just tapping into the energy of the stinger, okay? Like there's a part of you that is like a real fighter. But you have it under check. Honestly, you have control over it. You have a lot of self-control actually, which is a wonderful thing. Okay, so one thing I've done today is that have you ever watched Dove and Serpent Tarot? He has this thing where he does like a mystery card, and I thought that was super cool. I'm not going to do this on every reading, but I thought it would be cool to have like one card as like a message at the end of your energy reading, and I just want to acknowledge where I got that idea from. So this is your one card that we'll read at the end. And then let's go ahead and tap more into your energy. What's the energy for group 3? I'm not surprised that the sustainer came out at all. Not even a little bit. The prayer. One more for group 3. Tango apocalyptical. Do you know Pussifer? Probably not. But if you want to dive into some weird music, you should check it out. With the sustainer energy, this is very much I would say that you often, when dealing with the energy of others, I think you're very often in an observer status. This energy reminds me of the kind that like sort of listens in order to form awareness or to form an idea or to gather information a little bit. It's like very old soul vibes, very wise. Kind of reminds me, y'all, of like, what do I want to say this? I'm seeing like this old lady on a porch, just like, honestly, like just knitting or like picking green beans or something, right? And just like telling stories and having, just being, but the energy of that person, even if you're not necessarily a storyteller, being the energy of that vibe is like really wise, right? It's sort of like, there's certain people that you meet in life that are just like they've had a really long life and they have they're just wise and provide really like quips or wisdom, or you could be somebody who possesses that ability to. The one thing I think that exists a little bit in this space is while you do have a sustainable energy, there is a hit specifically in the throat chakra. Okay, so all of these other things are in pretty decent alignment, and then there's like a space, a dead zone, okay, and it does exist in the throat where it is, I wouldn't necessarily say that it's closed off, but it's careful. And I don't know if that has something to do with the stinger, right? The stingray. There could have been a moment or a past in your life path where you're sort of, this was a space where you didn't have control over, was like this sort of, I don't know, defensive response, and maybe things that were said in that space, or how would we sort of react when we felt like we were in the defense. And I think you might have been somebody who perhaps at one point, this is giving very honestly Scorpio life path vibes, where if you know that life path, then there's like the Scorpio in its sort of adolescent, infant, or like growing stages, has like this stinger that just comes out and like bleh, and then runs away and it has like this really hard shell, right? And then it moves into the observer status, and then it has like this phoenix rising moment, and then the ultimate like sort of end pathway is the dragon. And so that this is giving that vibe a bit, quite a bit actually. And so that would mean then that there would be a past or a timeline in which you might have been a little bit more quick to get a reaction out of. and have that stinger come out a little bit more quickly. And so I think that in this space is that you're sort of in this ascending process of going through this like observer into, and I think y'all are, at least from the collective that I've had, to sort of tapping into the collective 3 space, which I don't know if that'll shift much in this because I have more energies that I'm tapping into today. But I would say that this is like, it is like sort of the moment between that observer space and the phoenix space, right? So I do feel like this, there's been a little bit of upset, and not, it's sort of having been in this space of this sustainability that has become a bit of a stagnancy, okay? And sort of wanting to move out of that, being a bit, I wouldn't necessarily even consider it bored, but it could be bored. But it's more so like recognizing that what we thought was contentment was actually complacent. And so moving then into, I do feel like this is a collective kind of on a new chapter of life, or a new way of looking at life, and a new way of moving forward in life. It's sort of wanting to sort of break out of this stagnancy, break out of this, explore the ocean. You are the stingray. And it is kind of moving, I think, with the heart or the throat chakra. The thing that is existing primarily in this space is like the courage to say what it is that we want in order to break down old barriers. With the Apocalypsis card, this would be where what you are feeling internally is not what you are living externally, okay? And it is like being in this space of really wanting to break down a system that you have been operating in and starting a new way of living in a new chapter of life. So in this moment, there's quite a bit of, again, that this, all of this, it's like being very sure, okay, of exactly what it is that we seek, but having a bit of a disconnect with being able to say it, and trusting self. And this, we know that words are very powerful. And I think that this is a collective that is very aware of that, has an awareness of how impactful words can be in certain spaces. The one thing, Collective 3, that I think is really interesting, that I think that you should maybe shift perspective on, is that you very well could be teachers among us, and we could learn from you, because this energy, being able to be in the observer status and being able to be in a space that isn't conflictive when it maybe arguably should be at times, but is able to maintain its peace and doesn't really get too off the beaten path in terms of allowing things to ruffle them per se, is teachable. It's really teachable, especially in the world that we live in now. So if you can, find a way to break down those barriers and then come into a space where your voice is being heard, or you have a way of communicating the things that you have learned and how you have learned, the things that you have learned and how you've learned from them. Jeez, so intelligent. And how you got there, like what your pathway was to be able to move into that. And I don't know, maybe if you've dissected that any, because it would be quite teachable realistically. But it is, however, being in this space of really kind of moving into a readiness of or even an eagerness, sort of moving into sort of the next phase of life. All right, let's get you your mystery card. Oh, cool. So you have the 9 of Swords in the reverse, which is good. So it is coming out of sort of being in a space of holding yourself back mentally. Okay, so being in a, it's kind of like being in a space of overthinking and dwelling and, you know, mental anguish in a sense. And it sometimes is essentially self-inflicted, a sort of being in a space of anxiety or worry. And I think that you're moving out of that. Interestingly enough, y'all, as that card came out, you know how I would talk to, about the energy that was sitting in the upper back? I can feel that sort of shifting a bit and moving out. So it is also like being in it. I think you are building an awareness that there are certain burdens that you've collected through the observer space that sort of just kind of sat there, and it's like, yeah, I observe them, I understand them, and I feel this way about them, and I but I'm not going to address it, kind of. And so, but I'm just going to hang on to it, you know? And so this is like being in a space of really letting go of the things that we're hanging on to that no longer serve us, that don't belong to you either. That there are certain burdens perhaps that you maybe held on to that were essentially somebody else's problem, I guess. I don't know how to say it a certain way, but recognizing really what belongs to in you and what doesn't. And I do think that still, I think, that throat chakra started to kind of act up here. I don't think this is definitely an easy space of sort of trusting your own voice, or having some fear surrounding the throat chakra thing. Something that I've told the other collectives already is that Reiki is really actually beneficial for energy work. And so if you can go on Reiki and look up maybe like throat chakra Reiki or whatever, and to help you kind of open up that space, that might really help. Or to do some surrendering and meditation of like, okay, these things don't belong to me. Doing affirmations surrounding, having a voice, and that would all help you essentially to get you into space where you feel a little bit more comfortable expressing the things that you have been observing. So that is the energy that I have for you, group 3. If I read you correctly, please like and subscribe to the channel for more content. Thank you so much for being here. Enjoy the rest of your day. Group 4. This is a mystery energy already. Interestingly, when I was pulling in to your energy just now, I had the song by the Pierces come in, and it was like, oh, what is that song? It's called Kill, Kill, Kill. And it's like, what were you doing in my dream last night, honey? I thought I locked that door up tight, baby. Well, it's a mystery to me how you keep on. I don't know how the rest goes, but it's interesting. But that's the energy of that song. It's like the energy that came in. Okay, so if y'all don't know, I'm going into this blindly. I didn't look at any of these cards before going into this space, so I am reading your energy intuitively on whatever comes up. So let's see who you have. The crocodile. See you later, alligator. After a while, crocodile. I love the energy in this space. It's interesting because I feel like the crocodile would come across as like a real tough exterior, realistically, and definitely an animal that you would not want to mess with. But ironically, it's like your innate energy is so playful. Actually, it's really fun, and I like it, actually. All right. Okay, so real quick before we get into the energy read, I don't know if y'all watch Devin Serpent Tarot, but I do, and he always does this mystery card in all his readings, and I'm not going to do this in every reading at all. I'm just acknowledging where I got this from, but I thought it would be fun, since I'm not doing tarot in this moment, to just do one card for a pull, and I'm going to leave it where I don't know what it is, and that will be your message at the end of this reading. So this is your card. And then let's go ahead and tap more into your energy here. I really feel like this is a collective who is, I think, you know what's so interesting? This is the crazy thing about energetic alignment. So in the pile before you, their throat chakra was really something that was like a fearful space. And in your energy, it is more so that it's like a comfortability. It's almost, okay. It's like you're so tapped in from like the neck up, okay? This is where a lot of the energy sits in your space, in your, especially in your throat chakra. Actually, there's a really healthy, flowing, fun space here. Interestingly enough, group 4, right below that is a heart space, right? And this is a space that is, it's like it's gone through a healing. Okay, but then we get down into root, and this is where it's a little off balance, and also a little bit in your heart too is some burdens that are sitting a little bit, and that have kind of become like a weight that is kind of sitting there a little bit. Okay, so that's the energy feel, at least in the body, okay? However, I do feel like you are very capable of expressing yourself. I actually don't think that this collective would have a difficult time saying how they feel in most spaces. Now, are you as comfortable saying how you feel about deeper emotions? No. So that is like the one thing that is interesting about that sort of heart space there, is that when you're in this sort of content and happy-go-lucky space, it's so easy for you to tap into you know, the beautiful energies of life, and to be able to communicate you're funny or witty, or just have this sort of charisma almost in terms of being able to communicate. But there's a lot beneath the surface, and there's quite a bit underneath the ego. And one of the things that is the biggest hit in this space is this sort of disconnect, or even an uncomfortability surrounding deeper emotions and being able to communicate them, or even necessarily wanting to communicate them. So there's this very oh, this is interesting too. Okay, so another thing that is coming through is that this sort of up that you have, this like very happy, very charismatic, very funny, very like, you're able to sort of like tap in and be really fun and playful. There can be moments where this really dissipates pretty quickly because of just all that's kind of beneath the surface, and especially these burdens that you have that are sitting, like there's a lot that you are I don't think you're necessarily like worrying about them. It's just that you're just hanging on to them. There's a lot of responsibility almost that just kind of sits on your back and on your shoulders, and is almost even expected of you. Okay, let's go into your energy here. The crone. What else is going on? Oh, interesting. There's a lot beneath this surface. So fascinating. Now, I'm going to tap into the Venom card really quick because I do feel like, Collective 4, that your energy is probably misunderstood. I would say that you probably have an often experience of being misunderstood or being seen as though you are perhaps... I would argue that this might be a collective who's been accused of being how do I want to word this? So I just don't want to say it a certain way, Collective 4. I want to make sure that I'm trying to make sure that I say it in a way that it's received. I think you've definitely been misconstrued. Okay, so let's back up and go that way. This is a misunderstood energy because I think that it's, again, I feel like when people first meet you, the knee-jerk impression that they have of you would not provide them an awareness that they might not be able to reach you in the way that they think that they will. Because you have sort of this demeanor to you that is really, honestly, sweet and playful and charming and charismatic and funny, and yet the ability to tap into everything that is beneath that mask, I would argue you are not very comfortable at letting... This is a very isolated energy, okay? I feel like that's very closed off. There's a lot that's not being presented. It is just... not willing to let just anyone in. And I would argue that there are very, very few people who energetically understand this about you. I would argue that I would be very surprised, realistically, Collective 4, if you have that many people in around you who legitimately understand you. I think I would argue that that it'll come through in certain ways, okay? So you may have moments where you're a little bit more possibly pessimistic or down or just non-communicative, okay? And therefore then they would know you're going through something, but what's going on realistically internally, I don't think you're going to share that with anyone. Very, very, very few people would you share that with, realistically. I will say that there is a little bit of animosity that kind of sits a little bit in some space. It feels a bit like just kind of being fed up, realistically, just not. And also I would argue, like, within this energy, Collective 4, I think there needs to be an awareness that you're sitting in an energy beneath the surface that the vast majority of people don't know what it feels like and aren't able to tap into, realistically. This is a life path of really difficult moments, or a life path of experiencing really just being, I mean, honestly, kind of being just pushed down over and over and over again, and it really feeling like, okay, like, at what point is there going to be a breaking point? And it's really, honestly, unfortunate, because I don't want to just sit in this energy with you, but what's unfortunate is that you're so, like, your ability to alchemize as a partner, or in, especially within relationships, like you would make the best partner, but it's so hard to get you into a space of trusting. The trust here is so broken. Your ability to trust anyone realistically outside of yourself is so prominent in this energy. And so like this lover side of you, it comes in like where you're so loving and so charismatic as like a front, and that is like your true, like that is where you kind of want to be. But then you're very analytical, first of all. So you're really kind of have you have a vast emotional awareness, therefore you're pretty emotionally intelligent. So, and you also are very aware that like, it's almost as though you have an awareness that the people that are close to us can hurt us the most. And because you have that awareness, you just don't let anybody in and kind of keep everybody at bay. But if you can find a partner who understands you energetically, y'all could literally, first of all, the type of person that you're going to tap into energetically is going to have a life path that resembles yours. That's how they're going to tap into you energetically. And they're going to be able to alchemize with you in a way that I don't think it's like you could be a power couple realistically. If you could get this in check, and open up and just find, and I feel like it'll just take one person realistically, collective for one person that shows you that some of us can be trusted. And if you can open up to that person and have that and be able to, that would heal. It's almost ironically, collective for, it's like what would heal this thing is actually having someone close to you that you can just open up everything to and really trust. And that will shift all of this. So it's interesting because most people, I would argue that it's like you have to be whole within self before you can be whole with others. But I feel like you are a collective that actually, when you're out of an alignment within a connection, or you're like in a space where you're not connecting in, is like actually where things get really rocky, where you're actually a better alchemizer in a companionship. And because you are a lover, and because you have and such a deep need for connection realistically, because there's quite a bit of disconnected space here, right? And so this deep need for connection is actually a space that you could move mountains in and manifest. So if you are in a space where you're sort of seeking partnership, or you're in if you're in a space where you don't feel like, in a partnership where you don't feel like you trust them, you'll never open up to them. And that's just the energy that exists here. Like, you have to really find someone that you can trust. And I think that it's going to be a building of trust realistically, because I think even in the spaces where you're like, maybe I can trust this person, maybe I can't, I think you would probably get in your own way a little bit. So it's going to take like really facing some areas of self that sort of keep us disconnected in these spaces. So interestingly, you would make you would make such a wonderful partner. All right, let's see what your mystery card is here, group 4. Very interesting. See where Aries is in your chart. Maybe this isn't Aries. I haven't said that on any of the other readings. I don't know why I felt compelled to say that in this space. Okay, so this is the 3 of Wands in the reverse. Now, the 3 of Wands in the upright, in my opinion, how I read it energetically, is more so about it's kind of like laying down it's interesting because traditionally it reads differently than it does energetically, but it's like laying down the foundations. But in the reverse, it is really, it's not having a trust in the pathways and not having laid down the foundation and being able to look at the bigger picture and understanding what it is that we can do to sort of alchemize new beginnings and alchemize awareness and alchemize the life that it's almost as though there is sort of a longing in this energy to really have that in our awareness. Like this is like something that we really wish for ourselves. This could be a collective that really hangs on too tightly sometimes to things they need to let go of as well. Because with that, you know, the in the reverse, these aren't like in the upright. Those wands behind us are kind of, they're foundational, right? So they're working in the ways in which they're supposed to work, and then we can sort of take this new wand and venture out because the things behind us have kind of, we've laid the groundwork down for. In the reverse, it is like not being able to do that, and especially because it's sort of this, there are certain things that we're sort of carrying or that are like burdens of the past, or even expectation or our idea of an alternative outcome that we hang on to and we want to see come out differently. And really we end up in a space of essentially like stagnancy or purgatory, where we're not moving forward because we're consistently wanting something about the past to become different. And so you could really utilize maybe you know, I've been telling everybody about Reiki in these readings, but you could be someone who really taps into doing Reiki readings where it's like cord cutting, or even I think I prefer cord removal personally, but cord cutting I feel like is just as effective. But you can do a Reiki on sort of letting go, you know, something like that to get that into a space. Or if you're into meditation, having a practice, a daily practice of just surrendering things that no longer serve you in a meditation, and really communicating that, you know, saying that out loud or in your head or whatever, or just having a way of sort of finding your own peace every day too, and letting go of some of these things and some of these sort of limiting thought processes that are sort of holding you back from being able to get you into a space where you can trust and build upon this in particular. All right, group 4. If that resonated with you, please like and subscribe to my channel and leave me a comment down below. Thank you so much for being here. Enjoy the rest of your day. Group 5. Y'all, I have to laugh because I was tapping into your energy and I was thinking, I was like, okay, I'm going to say last but certainly not least is pile 5 or group 5. And then I heard, oh yes, save the best for last. Like, or it like came through like, yeah, that's right. We saved the best for last. It's like the energy that came in for this collective, and it's a real shift up from the other spaces that I've been in this reading. So I'm very curious to see what your card is, because if y'all did not know, I have been going into this blindly. I'm just really tapping into feeling like it's really fun to not have a clear, concise plan and to be able to just read intuitively off the cuff without any sort of idea of what I'm about to discuss is really fun for me. So that's what I've been doing. I haven't looked at any of the cards, so I have no idea what your card is, but I do know that that is the energy that came in before I even turned it over. So let's see who you are. I love the way the energy works. I am not at all surprised that you came out as the dolphin. Oh, really, I love this energy. Very beautiful energy. Okay, so one other thing that I've been doing, I don't know if you've ever watched Dove and Serpent Tarot, but he does a mystery card in every reading. And I thought it would be really fun to do that for this reading. I don't intend on doing it every time. I'm not going to steal someone's concept, but I thought, well, I would like to do one card as like a message since I'm not doing tarot, in like standard tarot in this reading. And so I kind of cabbaged that idea for this particular read, but I'm acknowledging where it come from. In fact, like if you have not seen his channel or you don't subscribe there, you should really go look at it because it's a great zodiac channel. Okay, anyway, let's find out what your card is. So we're just going to put that up in the corner, and then that will be the last message before the end of your reading. Today we're going to use, so this is the wild unknown animal spirit for, you know, your initial knee-jerk first impression kind of energy, and then we'll get a little bit deeper with the wild unknown archetype. So again, like how it comes in, it's really playful, very charismatic is the energy that comes through in this, and really capable of just like not letting too much really get under your skin. I think this is probably an energy that is in, I would argue, collective 5, and it's no surprise that y'all are gonna have this energy. But I would say, like, in terms of the energy that I've tapped into in this reading, this is an energy that is very aligned. The alignment of your of the body is really quite prominent, and sometimes it'll come through where then there's like a little bit that comes in beneath the surface, and it's like, you know, it'll come through as like, okay, but there's also this. Your knee-jerk energetic response is actually very balanced, and the only thing that I would say is that comes in after sitting in it for a second that might be need a little tweaking is the root. A little bit, like that's where some of your a little bit more disruption is kind of down in that area, but it's not so prominent that it would be like, it's so minor, realistically, like it's manageable. I would say that's something that you could tweak and get into an alignment relatively easily. Maybe somebody that might, you might be a little bit impulsive in nature or a little bit just adaptable. You can go with the flow. You don't really take too much personally, and don't let it kind of get under your skin, and don't let it, you know, eat at you or bother you. But there is some sense of that impacting a sense of grounding. Okay, and so maybe having like a bit more structure in some space might be helpful. We'll get into it. Okay, what is the energy for group 5? Interesting. Yeah, definitely not at all surprised that you have a healing energy about you. You have very Piscean energy. Like a healed Pisces, I should say. Here we are with that Lover card. Okay, so the interesting thing coming out with this empty room is I always see this as like a blank slate card, but in your energy, I feel like it's just the ability to sort of, it's like an adaptability that you have that is, it's like, okay, well, I guess I got to start over and I'll do it this way. And it's just, you're very mutable energy, realistically, which is a Pisces energy, actually. A mutable energy would be just doers, okay? Being in a space of just knowing, like not really giving it too much. You don't really allow yourself to get hooked into the lower alignments of energy. You don't get really You're not really that easily ruffled. You're not easily taken off balance. You're not easily. I think it would take a lot to get you to respond in a way that is like aggressive or mopey or pessimistic. Like you just have a very high vibration, realistically. Um, Now, that being said, that doesn't mean that you haven't been through things and that you haven't had things that you've experienced or you have been let down, because I do think that that is a reality in your past. And I do think there are certain moments where it's like you kind of wish things were a little bit different than they were, but they're not. And you do have an adaptability about it, but it is like, um, in one aspect, it is something that you don't dissect often. And honestly, I would get this vibe with y'all that you feel that there isn't a need to, realistically. And I kind of like that energetically. It's like that it's this energy that will not allow things to get you down and is really capable of sort of viewing situations and scenarios that really aren't that great and understanding them in a capacity that I would argue isn't quite common. I would say that you have like an awareness that is probably been within you for a very long time. And you're sort of that old soul vibe, very wise. Um, I would argue, this is weird to even say, but you have an energy that seems as though it's like you've been through this like life in general, like being human and having a whole life cycle is not your first rodeo. It's very like seasoned in terms of being able to understand energy. And more importantly, to be able to understand energy and not take it personally. Like that's such a rarity, to be able to just be so passive and adaptable, but in a way that isn't actually harming you, which is rare because some people they'll keep it all buried beneath the surface, and then they, that behavior kind of pools out in certain ways. But you have been able to alchemize those things in a way that you have maintained your own peace and have such an understanding and empathetic awareness of various situations and scenarios, and have honestly just a really beautiful, warm energy about you. Very loving and charismatic, and also emotionally intelligent, because you have experienced some things. It's just they don't get you down. And so um, you just don't see, it's almost as though you don't see the purpose in being sad. You don't see the purpose in being upset about things that you don't have control over, which is really a beautiful way to look at life, honestly. Um, and it's a very, just being in your presence is safe. It's safe to be around you. It feels like safety. It feels as though you are someone who would be a wonderful protector, and also a beautiful, like you'd be somebody who would be able to rationalize experiences and thoughts in other people, and sort of get them out of dwelling or get them out of a negative energy. Your perspective on sort of that space allows you to kind of calm other people down around you, or be, oh, y'all would be make great, like Mm. Honestly, like, interestingly enough, is like you would make really great psychologists. It seems like you would be really great in working with people in that capacity, or having the ability to sort of um, work in that kind of field and really do be like kind of pioneers in it, essentially, just in the way that you would operate. Because a lot of people that are in that space, it's very interesting. You tap into energetic alignment, and it works the same way with like readers. Okay, so with therapists, if you have a therapist that like at their core has really like sits in a very not great energy, then that is transferable in their clients, right? And so we kind of need healers and social workers or things like that, like people working in those spaces. I wouldn't recommend social work, honestly. Like, I would recommend like actually getting like a PhD, but because I feel like this would be like a capable collective. But we need people that have like the kind of empathetic awareness, so having had life experiences, but also having the ability to maintain their own energy and to shift energy. You're very capable of shifting the energy around you, um into a more into and bringing it up too, bringing it into a more uplifting space. This is a beautiful energy, honestly. And I would argue that it's uncommon. I wouldn't consider this an energy that all people operate in, and I would argue that very few people operate in this space. I think a lot of people have their sort of negative feelings and pessimism or animosity, or feeling jaded, that exists beneath the surface when they have certain life experiences, and you don't have that. You have, and legitimately don't have that. It's not a mask. It is, this isn't all of this. If I sit and dwell in this space, I'm only going to feel this. It's like such an awareness of how energy works, without, I don't even know if that's something you're consciously, like, if you see it that way, if you consciously go, oh, this is how my energy works. I don't think that that's necessarily true, but I feel like it's more so that it's like you just know that like intrinsically know that this is not going to do you any good, so there's no sense. And then you let it go. Like, your ability to let go of those things is really admirable, group 5. Very admirable, honestly, because we are not all built that way. I certainly am not. I strive to be, but I'm horrible at it. Like, I have a lot that I just like feel a certain way about, and I as much as I work in energy work and as much as I understand it, this being able to do this naturally is not only rare, but it's a blessing. It's a real blessing. I can imagine that just your presence is very healing in those that get close to you. So congratulations, Collective 5, for your ability to sit in that energy. That's really beautiful. All right, let's get you your card. You have the Ace of Pentacles. Does this have a sign attached to it? I just wanted to see, because I did say you were Pisces. Oh, it's Earth. Okay. I guess I should know that it was Pentacles. Sorry. I'm learning. Okay, I'm learning astrology, so I'm learning how it connects into tarot. It's like a thing that I'm currently learning, so I don't know it like off the top of my head, and then I see things and I forget it, and then I realize that was kind of silly. But interestingly enough, it's like, so with this, the Ace of Pentacles, okay, your ability to sort of stabilize is, I feel like this is going to repeat a little bit, but it's like your ability to stabilize is a superpower. Your ability to stabilize is a manifester. Your ability to sort of, you're not going to allow things to get in your way, and as a doer, you just do it and get it done and then move forward, which a lot of us don't do. We procrastinate, and then suddenly we have a mountain. And I also feel like you would be aware of that if I don't do this, then I'm going to just have more to do. Like your ability to look at things complexly is fascinating, honestly, and teachable at that. You could be in a space that sort of teaches or helps others who maybe struggle with that. And so this is sort of just, I guess, a reminder, and sort of being in a congratulatory space a little bit, or just being in a space of acknowledgement that it's, not only is this energy uncommon, it is very powerful in shifting the vibration of all those around you. To be able to be in a space where you are not moving from malicious intent, and you're moving from a well-intentioned space, and you have been through things, and you're able to let it go to that capacity and be able to move forward. And not only that, but build upon it. Your ability to manifest is astronomical in that space. And so honestly, group 5, I feel like you should be very proud of yourself. So if that resonated with you, and that sounds like your energy, please like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for being here, Collective 5. Enjoy the rest of your day.